Well, hello everyone. So I've had a very interesting day. I went out this morning and the guy got broken into last night. So I went out this morning and kind of got his door put back together. So at least he's secure and got everything to where he's not worried about the door just being wide open. And was talking that he wanted some, I'm going to fix his door. I just didn't have the right stuff whenever I went over there, but he wants me to do some other work, and I don't know if I want to get into jumping into some other jobs, but I told him I'm going to give him a number. If it's a good number, then do it. If it's not, then find someone else. But it's one of them jobs that, it can go sideways really quick, and there's a lot of, he's a weird person, so I've given him quotes many years ago, and he's like, oh, I can't afford it. And I was like, well, go find someone else. And then he comes back, 6 months later. Can you do this? I was like, no, the prices went up since the cost of the doors went up, blah, blah, blah. It's just been like that for the better part of 3-4 years. So, and just the type of person he is, I'm a little leery about even doing any kind of work for him. But I'm going to repair his front door, because he got broken into. So I'll do that. The back door I'm a little iffy on. But yesterday I did a pretty cool door install, something I've never done before. But I took a sliding glass door and turned it into a door and a side light. So I'll show you real quick here. But that's the sliding glass door. And that's the door and the side light I turned it into. He was having issues because it was a little tiny 5-foot sliding glass door. Whenever you open it up, it's only half that, so it's like a little less than 2 feet. And I put in a 36-inch door with a 14-inch side light and framed it all down, made it look really nice. He's happy with it, and I gave him a hell of a deal. I did the door and the install, everything, the trim, all of it for less than what he could even buy the door for. So way less. It was like $3,000 to buy the door, and I did the whole job for $2,000. So, and I got another job that I'm going to be looking at, and this is another one that I'm kind of iffy on. And it's not the people. The people are awesome, but on this particular job, it's in a historical district area. And I have had some major issues trying to get them to even let me change out the windows. And it's one of those scenarios that, excuse me, it's one of the scenarios where, you'll have windows that are bad, but they're not like completely falling out of the house. But, like there's windows that may have cracked glass, but not busted out. It may have, more scam calls. But the windows will be a little bit rotted out, but not all the way rotted out, stuff like that. And anyways, you have to get approval to even be allowed to replace your windows. And then on top of that, they may, certain people in the different groups there that that dictate that part of it, because there's SPAR, RAPS, there's a bunch of different organizations across Jacksonville, and then you have the main one that covers all the areas that's not in the little zones. But you'll have certain people that say, okay, well you can replace the windows, but only if you use this brand or this manufacturer. And and the fact that most vinyl windows all look the same, to sit here and dictate what, you can only use Pella, or you can only use PGT, or you can only use Norco, and you got all these things. That's kind of, real iffy, because it makes me think that, someone's getting paid off to, it's like Pelican. And I'm not saying they did. I'm not, but if somebody was to think about it for a little bit, it'd be like, why are they only dictating this one window when there's, in fact, God, it was years. It's probably, I'd say 10, 12 years ago. This is like, 2008 to 2010 era. But there was one person, he said, the customer already bought the windows. And I came into the job halfway through, and it was a big, just cluster. I mean, it was a huge cluster. And they had the windows, and they said you can't use these windows because you have to use this brand. This is the only one approved. So I went over and I took all the badging and took everything off the windows where there was no names on either one of them, and I brought them in, and I was like, I forget which one of these two windows are the ones that we got to install. And she pointed to ones that they already have and not the one that, and I was like, see, you can't even tell the difference between the two, you know. And it got into like almost 2 months of going back and forth, and you know, me trying to save the customer money, and I ended up saving the money. I ended up installing the job, and you know, got paid and got a nice little tip, you know, which I charged them every time I had to go down there and talk to these people. But you got that aspect. So you have the aspect of one, they have the appearance of maybe being, certain people being on the take. I'm not saying all of them, and not every single organization dictates what window to use. They'll say, hey, can you send me a picture, show me how it looks the same, and you're good. You know, some people do that. But then you have the ones that say, we like the original homes. So in the event of windows, doors, siding, you know, stuff like that, even roofing, they want you to keep the original product on the house, which I understand. But when when it's failing, when the house is getting water intrusion, when it's getting, you know, where the AC and the heat doesn't even stay in the house, where you have leaves blowing in through the windows and doors because they're so out of square and so messed up that they don't even operate as windows or doors or siding, you know. But they say, no, you have to repair what's there. And it's like, you can't, you know, you can buy new reproduction stuff, but then you're replacing with new product, and that's technically not a repair, so they won't let you do it. You know, and it's kind of like one of them things that, you know, they're actually, because of their rules, they're actually destroying the homes that they're trying to protect, because if you have windows or doors or siding that isn't, you know, stopping the water or stopping, you know, bugs or whatever, or even, you know, I've seen them where leaves and stuff were blown into the house, and they had to put towels down when it rained because, you know, every time it rained, it would leak into the house. And they say you have to fix the windows, you can't replace them. And it's to a point where, okay, you can rig up something, and, you know, you can just add a bunch of wood or just caulk them shut where they don't open and close at all, you know. But it's you know, and this is kind of like a personal thing to me, but it's like these people who are supposedly saving the houses and keeping their original look is destroying the houses by letting the original integrity fail. So anyway, that's just kind of, you know, something I was thinking about today, and I'm going to be looking at a quadruplex soon that is in a historical area. And in case you don't know that if you're in a historical area or not, if your street sign is green and you don't have a plaque on your house, you're pretty much good, you know. But if your street sign is brown, well, good luck to you, you know. In fact, I know a lot of contractors that, you know, they say, someone calls up, and this is me included, someone calls up and say, where are you located? Oh, I'm in San Marco or Avondale or Riverside. And I was like, all right, what color is your street sign? It's brown. All right, you have a good day. I'm going to pass on this job. You know, and it's that bad. That's how bad it is. You know, I mean, I was doing a deal charging people $500 to write up the paperwork and go stand in front of the board, you know, and try to argue their case. And I tell them, I was like, listen, I'm going to spend one whole day taking pictures, writing up all the paperwork, everything else, and I'm going to spend another whole day, you know, waiting for my little turn so I can stand in front of people and argue the case for your house, you know, to see if we can get windows or doors replaced. But it's just gotten pretty bad on that aspect. And to be fair, I haven't done it in many years, so maybe it's gotten better. Maybe they've, you know, allowed a little bit of common sense into the argument, but, you know, knowing the government, probably not. And I want to kind of sidebar this a little bit here, but one thing I've noticed, and this is me just observing the world, you know, just walking through, whenever you have excessive, not extreme, but excessive regulation, let's call it overreach, whatever you want to call it, or you get to a point where you have a socialized, communist style system of government, there's going to be plenty of people that are fine with it. They're like, okay, this is my spot in life. This is where I'm going to survive. This is, and you can see it in Russia, China, India, a lot of countries in Africa. You can see it, in a widespread of Europe. When you have a socialized or heavy regulated government, people, there's certain people that will accept it. But for those who don't, who want more, and I'm not talking about being greedy, I'm just saying that want more for their life or their children or stuff like that, it's very difficult to do it without breaking the law. Mafias, Gestapos, all the organized crime across the world, it was all developed in a lot of socialized, heavily regulated areas. It's because people want more than what the government will allow you to have, and that goes well with certain people in the government. That goes well with businesses, with individuals. It spans the thing. So, here in America, we kind of toe this line of safety regulations, but then there's, where I know of a few particular laws that have gone above and beyond the fact of safety, and it's just become, to where because of one event or because of a lawsuit or something like that, now, hundreds of thousands of homes and businesses and owners and, have to spend a lot of money, a lot of time just in figuring out how to get, abide by or get around, find the loopholes of the law. It's a fine line, and I'm going to say, I understand there's a need for regulation, but then there's also many lines that have been crossed that go too far, because we as contractors, we go through a lot of schooling. We go to school every 2 years. We spend thousands upon thousands of dollars getting our licenses, continuing education, and that's not even to mention, making sure we have all the proper tools, materials to do the job. We spend money before we even meet a customer, and most of the licensed contractors, and there are some bad ones, but most of them try to do good, try to do right, but when there's so many rules and regulation, that makes it where contractors are like, you know what, I don't have the manpower, I don't have the money or the time to invest into these kind of jobs, like they're down at the beaches, you have, the historical area, you have different areas, and they make it to where contractors are like, I don't have time, there's too much stuff going on. In fact, like in Atlantic Beach, for years, almost every contractor I knew, it's like, you do work in Atlantic Beach? He's like, hell no. I didn't for a long time. I cut off Atlantic Beach because the people in the office purposely made it difficult for us to pull a permit and do things the right way. So what happens is, because we're like, we can't do it, or there's too much regulation, or there's too much just to even get a job done before we even order the first piece. Sometimes you got 2, 3, 4 days of paperwork and going back and forth and emailing and dealing with all this stuff. It gets to a point where they're like, no. So what happens, the customer's like, well, I still need the work done, so I'm going to hire an unlicensed contractor, or Joe Schmuckatelli in the pickup truck, and it ends up being a problem. So then they're like, well, we have all this, unlicensed contractors and all these people doing it the wrong way, so we're going to make more rules. It's like, no, if you just be sensible and think about what you're doing and don't affect the people that are doing, it's like, it seems like all the rules they're making now is to punish the people that are doing good, but then complain about it when the bad people do it. It's like, we as good people, we're trying to do the right thing, we're trying to do it, but you make it so difficult for us to do it that now other elements are coming in and that aren't doing all that stuff, and then they're going in doing shoddy work, then people complain about it, and it just ends up spiraling to this thing where it's nothing but chaos, you know. So, but I just kind of wanted to put that out there into the world, and you know, and in fact, I'm sitting here while I'm thinking about it, I can make this particular argument of, you know, making it difficult for good people to do things, to where then bad people or you know, people who are not necessarily following the law come in and they do things, you know, sometimes cheaper, sometimes, and then mess up. I mean, that's a case in point for like gun regulation, organized crime. I mean, you know, I'm sure there's a lot more, but you know, it's sometimes you have to, instead of thinking everybody's bad and punishing the good people, you know, sometimes you just got to let the good people do their thing and let them succeed or fail on their own. You know, that's what the American dream is, right? You know, let us take the chances. Let us take the you know, the risk. Because I know most of the people that have contractor license that I know, they try to do the right thing, and all of them complain about, you know, my God, why is it becoming more difficult to do this and more. I mean, it's gotten where on certain locations in Jacksonville, to change out your windows, okay, you have to hire an agency, okay, to come out, and you fill out all the paperwork, and it's probably 10-12 pages of stuff that you have to fill out, and then have what's called wind mitigation on certain homes, depending on how the area is set up, and you have to do wind mitigation and file all this paperwork. And if you have one little decimal point in the wrong spot, they're going to reject it. And then you got to, and they won't say, oh, by the way, this number here don't seem right. No, they say, oh, it's rejected because of improper paperwork. And you have no idea what you did wrong, because if it was a mistake, you couldn't, you know, you didn't know it in the first place. Or you have to hire this agency to come out and spend, you know, $300-400 just to see if you're even allowed, you know, to put in the windows that you sell, or do you have to have a different type of window, or it's gotten to where it's just stupid, you know. I don't know. It just, you know, I'm all for following the rules, but some of the rules are just stupid. That's what I'm going to say. So, anyways, I just got to my mom's house. I'm going to help her out, move some heavy stuff around, and I got to go move all that, empty out my trailer and get ready for tomorrow's job. So, yay. But I got tomorrow's job, which is going to be about a 2-day door install, and then I have one job on Sunday, and I'm pretty much going to take a break for a while. So, and I'm even thinking about taking a trip down to South Florida. Last night I went and looked at what it costs to rent a car, and they had a Kia Soul, so I'm like, I might be renting me a Kia Soul. You know, I trust Hoochie Mama. I trust this vehicle to go anywhere in Jacksonville, but I've had some experiences that I can tell you many stories on, of me leaving Duval. I mean, hell, I've rented cars. Twice I've rented a vehicle, went down and drove, and the vehicle broke down. One time I was going to Universal Studios, and one of my ex-girlfriend, we rented, I think it was like a nice, like a low-end Cadillac or something, and I mean, we was gonna have some fun, and go down there, and it breaks down, so they end up giving us a Ford Ranger, and I'm like, this isn't even close to what we rent. We had to leave our luggage in the back of the truck, and like whenever we got out, we had to pull it out and put it in the vehicle, and you know. And then another time I rented a Mustang, and it couldn't go above like 50 miles per hour on the interstate. I actually had to go out and buy new windshield wipers and gave them a receipt, and I don't even know if they ever refunded me, but you know, the windshield wiper was so bad you couldn't see, and the car was like sliding all over the road because the tires were damn near bald, you know. But I've had vehicles break down that I've rented, plus my own vehicles have been destroyed many times leaving Duval. So anyway, I'm gonna stop rambling. Thank you very much for watching. If you like more stories like this, let me know. And I could use a hug, so or a hi or something. So if you don't mind, if you got this far, just comment hi or hello or something, just because I need some pep. So anyways, peace, love, money. I'm out.